Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of New Music Friday, and I know what you're thinking. Overshore, this video is late. Where have you been? And I know I haven't been as active lately, but there is a reason. If you follow me on my Instagram, I posted a little note saying, hey, videos are going to be a little less frequent because I've been putting a boatload, and I mean a physical boatload of time into a certain video that I think you guys are going to love. It's almost done, but that's the reasoning for the lack of content lately. Either way, New Music Friday, bit of a smaller batch today, not as many big names released in these last 2 weeks. Timestamps are in the description below, and this time they will actually be there. Last episode I forgot to add them in for the first hour, but this time they're going to be there. Regardless, gonna jump right in with a new one from somebody I have been telling y'all about. It's American Rust by ERNEST. If you're unfamiliar with ERNEST, he's a songwriter who works with and is good buddies with Morgan Wallen and Hardy. He put out an album in 2019 that I have been standing all year long, but only lately has he seemed to gain some traction. He put out a song earlier this year called Cheers that I wasn't huge on. I saw the appeal, but it wasn't for me, but this new one, American Rust, is really solid. It kicks off with some nice distant fiddle, almost like something you'd hear from a Coulter Wall record, where it sounds like it's being played on the other side of the room. Either way, pair it with some dusty acoustic picking and a dreamy steel, and you've got a nice, warm, very traditional sound. ERNEST has always been slightly more beach or pop country, but this one is by far his most country song, which is why I would really encourage a lot of you guys to check it out. It's also really well written. The way ERNEST explains age through objects I find really clever. Also, just the rhythm of the lyrics is well curated. It flows like a freshly brewed coffee. That backstop on the old ball fields made from grade A Pennsylvania steel, it's been sitting there since 1951. And that shell's been on the corner since Coke was glass and gas was a quarter. Specifically the Coke line I really like. Rather than listing another year or calling it old, it's been there since Coke was in a glass bottle, and I love that funny little detail. The sentiment of the song is nothing crazy, just talking about the stereotypical American life and how some things just keep on getting better with age, whether that be a truck, a baseball diamond, or a relationship. Simple, but I like it. Moral of the story, ERNEST, get on the train while you can because it's picking up steam quickly. Next up, I've got to address this new Breland song with Kieth Urban. Throw it back. Now, when I first saw the title, I was a little concerned. I was like, please don't tell me 83-year-old Kieth Urban is singing a song about throwing it back. I convinced myself it wasn't possible, but oh, it is. Look, I'm going to be honest. As far as country trap blends go, this one's up there as one of the more pleasant ones to listen to. From a musical standpoint, the instrumental, while kind of bland, isn't obnoxious, and Breland's surprisingly good vocals on a standout melody do salvage it to the point where if I heard this in the background, I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it, but it's not terrible. The issue mostly is Kieth Urban. The whole idea of the song is very cringy and just bleh. But why is Kieth Urban on here? I didn't really want to hear a country trap cross about girls twerking, but I definitely don't want to hear it from Kieth Urban. Like, go away, man. Grow up. You're like 78. I just don't understand who's going out of their way to listen to this. Truthfully, I don't think anyone is. I think it's going to get slapped on a public party playlist and just play in the background, which, like I said, in that scenario, it's sufficient. But when you even take a glance at the lyrics and the fact they're coming from Kieth Urban, it's a no from me. Then I really want to talk about the new Walker Hayes EP, Country Stuff. I'm not going to do a review of this EP, but I did want to talk about it. Obviously, New Music Friday is reserved for singles, but on a less busy week like this one, I figured I'd allow myself a few minutes to discuss this EP, because man, it's confusing. In all honesty, I don't know how to begin this discussion. The contrast in quality found on this thing is mind-blowing. I made an entire video addressing how atrocious Country Stuff is, only for him to release an arguably worse song in Fancy Like, but then he slaps Briefcase on the end? I just don't understand how an artist can release Briefcase and Country Stuff on the same project. Beginning with Fancy Like, this song might just be worse than Country Stuff. Like, remember that video I made like 2 weeks ago calling Country Stuff the worst song of the year? We may have to change that video to the second worst song of the year, because somehow Walker pulled out this nightclub country funk pop cross that crosses like a spaghetti junction, doesn't work at all, and it's all bouncing on this disgusting 808 that genuinely makes my 808 on Here Comes Goodbye sound decently mixed. So I would have stopped there, but I noticed the last two tracks featured Carly Pearce and Lori McKenna. Lori McKenna! How does Walker Hayes even know who Lori McKenna is? These are two very different artists on very different routes. So how that collaboration came to be, I don't know. Also, Carly Pearce. I'm less surprised to see her just because she's significantly more mainstream than Lori. But it's still a collaboration I just didn't think I would see. I would have found it more likely we see Pitbull on a Walker Hayes song before either of these two ladies. But I'm not complaining. What I am complaining about, specifically the Carly Pearce feature, is that they're barely featured. What If We Did is perfectly set up for a nice duet. It sets the scene, the guy asking the girl, we probably won't last forever, but what if we did? And then after the first chorus, I was like, dang, this sounds phenomenal. Not country, but it sounds so lush and smooth, and Walker's soft delivery is sounding good. And I was ready, like, come on, Carly, take the song home, knock it out of the park. And then she never showed up. She just got slapped on the background vocals for the entire thing. Like, what? It was the perfect song to be a duet. You got all the way to the point where Carly Pearce is featured on the track and then barely used her. That's like getting a picture with your favorite celebrity and then cropping them out of the photo when you actually go to post it on Instagram. Walker confuses me, man. And then there was Briefcase, which, my gosh, it's so pretty. I've been listening to this song quite a bit over the last few days. It just feels so appropriate for Walker. On social media, he's a very big family man. He loves his family. He's always doing stuff with them. So this song just felt so fitting for him to sing. It's also co-written by Lori McKenna, so you know it's going to be darn good and pull on your heartstrings, which it does. Now, it's worth noting Lori McKenna co-wrote it with Walker. I can imagine Lori had to go to the chiropractor for her back after carrying that writing session. But if she didn't, this song has me intrigued. Can Walker actually write meaningful music? Because this song slaps. It's about Walker as a child hating how his dad always has to leave for work. He hated when he saw his briefcase because he knew that meant his dad was leaving. But as he's grown up, he understands the struggles and pressure of being a dad. And as a musician, he guesses a guitar doesn't fall too far from a briefcase. It's touching, it's soft, sonically it lends nicely to Walker's controversially soft vocal style. Just, man, I never thought I would be talking about Walker Hayes as much as I have lately, but dude just confuses me. He gives me stuff to talk about. How can the same person be okay with releasing country stuff and fancy like, knowing he's also got Briefcase in the back pocket? And then the audacity to feature Carly Pearce and not use her. Like, Then, in case you missed it, Dylan Marlowe put out a country cover of Driver's License.
But now I'm driving through the country crying.
When I first heard there was a country cover of Driver's License, I had a bit of hope. It's definitely a pop song through and through, but I could see the transition. I could imagine it working. I wasn't sure what the artist would have to do to make it work, but I could envision it coming together nicely. But whatever had to be done to do that, Dylan did not do. Right away, the glaring issue is that Dylan is a dude. This song is sung from a girl's perspective, and though you can change the pronouns and whatnot, it's just got that teenage girl energy. Especially knowing the original, you can't imagine a Driver's License cover without that, not pouty, but dramatic teenage girl emotion. It's part of what makes the song compelling. Unfortunately, Dylan is not a teenage girl. Like, imagine if I made a cover of You Belong With Me. He wears Bass Pro, I wear Carhartt. He's team captain and I work at Walmart. It just don't got the same energy. Even if I change the lyrics, it's not the same. The second issue with this track is that he doesn't even change the lyrics appropriately. In the verses of the song, he's singing from Olivia's perspective, but as a guy. He's the one being heartbroken. He's the one who's sad that he got his driver's license but no longer has a significant other to drive around. But then in the chorus, he switches roles to the guy in the original song, where now he's the jerk dumping the girl. So he's sad he got his driver's license and can't drive around his girl, but then turns around to say, I'm a jerk and dumped you, and I meant to dump you, but I don't want to dump you. Moral of the story, this song does not work. Does it sonically sound terrible? No. Is it impossible to see past the glaring mistakes with the writing and translation of characters? Absolutely. Clay Walker also put out a new song, You Look Good. This song really disappointed me. I like Clay Walker. I'm excited for this new album, but man, this song kind of sucks. Clay being from the 90s and 2000s, it hurts hearing him succumb to this pop R&B fusion. It just spoils the song. Thankfully, it's not overbearing to the point where it pains my ears, but as they all say, it's the thought that counts. The fact that the trappy elements are there just bugs me. Clay does not need them. He's not going to make another run as radio top dog, so why spoil your music in a hopeless attempt to do so? This song just sounds like a less in-your-face Kane Brown album cut, and I'm just not a fan. Songwriting, bland, and the production bugs me. The song just wasn't it. Lastly, Flatland Cavalry released another single from their upcoming album, Getting By.
Raise a toast to the stars and a can up to the sky.
If I'm being honest, this song didn't do much for me. Sonically, it sounds great, but it's nothing we haven't heard from Flatland before. Prominent fiddles, rich but light percussion. This one's melody is just, I don't know, it's a bit of a snooze fest. Lyrically, it's also super middle of the road. As the song says, it's just another country song saying, we're drinking beer, we've got our significant others, we're just getting by, and I don't know. I don't have many feelings for it. It's just kind of there. It's just getting by. Alright, so that's it for this episode of New Music Friday. This episode was a little lighter, not as much music to talk about, sort of just a funky episode with some funky releases. As always, links to my Instagram, Discord, and podcast are all down below in the description. Like the video if you enjoyed. If you're new, I would encourage you to subscribe for more country music content, and yeah, until next time, have a great day.